Welcome back, everybody. It is your friendly neighborhood investor, Patrick Hurley, back again with Gary Shevitz, who's got one-liners, zingers, negotiating experts, and transactional wizard. And then we have Mike Matthias here with us as well, who is our integrator specialist and overall systems genius. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Doing excellent. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm good. I'm good. We had a very interesting weekend. I'm in escrow on a house that I'm going to be moving into, a Subto. Beautiful, beautiful house. I went to a concert, had a couple of glasses of champagne to celebrate, and the demise of the Circle app happened. So those of you who are with us now, I'm glad that you guys got the email and or links. For those of you here who are aware of what Circle is and who are wondering what the hell happened, they decided to move away from it. However, we are in negotiations to bring it back. So we're going to try to bring it back, guys. It was, from my account, working pretty well. So we'll keep you updated on that. Please, please, please save the links that got sent out to you guys so that you guys can join us for these meetings. There's only 32 of you currently. There might be more joining a little bit later, but on average, we have anywhere from 50 to over 100. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys make these meetings. Okay, so let me show you guys. What I'm up to. I'm kind of excited about this. Check it out, guys.
Are you showing off your new house?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably moving into this bad boy around December. Sub-2 loan on this, 20K cash to seller. And this actually wasn't, to be honest with you, not a great investment opportunity because it doesn't cash flow as a rental. However, this works for me. It's close to family and it's super clean. I had one of my team members walk it, no problems.
So where is it? That doesn't look like California.
This is Palmdale.
It's, you still got like an hour, 20-minute ride from there.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
but
Palmdale?
It's better than 7 hours. Yeah,
Palmdale.
in LA.
Yeah, Palmdale.
Exactly
LA County. LA County.
Yeah,
LA
it's
County.
2 hours.
Northern LA County.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'm really excited about. Are you ready? This is where I'm going to be spending most of my time. Barbecuing.
Well,
watching the game.
Maybe not in the summer.
I told my girlfriend that I'm gonna have to put a flat screen out here. And then we got the pool.
It looks like there's a mister built in there. Is that mister nozzles?
Maybe.
Patrick, you know how hot Palmdale is?
I know.
I'm fine with it. I grew up in Coachella Valley.
But that's what the pool is for, Cindy.
Yeah. They'll be barbecuing in the pool.
No, I told him he's got to absolutely go back to the family room.
Okay. Let's
go back to the family room.
Are we calling this a family room?
Yeah, that's family. So those windows to your right open up to the pool. That's your best pool access. So those need to be replaced with doors immediately. I think there's 3 windows there.
You got it.
It's only 87 degrees there today, guys. It's actually cooler. It's cooler than Santa Clarita. So I'll be quiet. It's not that bad.
There is a huge opportunity, guys, for creative deals right now. I mean, right now, according to what is this, Redfin, 82% of the homeowners right now they have rates below 5%. So there's a really, really large opportunity, guys. And so, Mike, can you do me a favor and share that link with everybody? So, and then you just updated the lists, right, Mike?
We have pulled a new list, but they're not accessible to the whole team yet. They still need to be run through our prop stream filtering that we've done in the past to make sure that you're getting the right mortgage info on there, but that should be done this week. So we'll have that for you.
Love it. Guys, if you have questions, please put it in the chat. Do not DM me because I'm not going to see it. The only time I see that is because it changes my to in my message thing. So if you have questions about what deals that you've submitted. We'll talk about that towards the end. Before we do that, I'm just curious, who in here is brand new? In the chat, say new if this is your first meeting. I would be surprised if you got the link, but if
I would be surprised if anybody here is new.
Yeah, if you're, we got a new person, Ryan. Cool.
Sorry, I'm looking for the chat.
No, you're all
My name is
good.
Ed Will, everyone. Northern California, Vallejo. Pleased to meet everyone.
Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And if
Yes,
you're
sir.
if you're joining us again, type fam. So new if you're new, type fam if you're not. Just want to see.
Jason, are you in your
Lots of
truck,
fam.
Jason?
Lots of fam. Lots of fam.
Always in my truck.
Always in your truck, huh?
All right. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm going to pull up this board real fast for those of you who are new, just to give you a general idea of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about creative finance. We're going to be talking about where to find these types of deals and how to go after them, and really how to make money with our team. All right. So let me share my screen with you real fast. And then Mike, were you able to put that in the chat?
All right, which link is it you're looking for?
Here, you know what? I'll do it. Here we go. Let me copy this and I'll paste it to the chat. Here's some videos, guys, for you, for those of you who are not already taking a look at these, and some resources for you. If you want to submit your deals, go there. There's also resources. That's probably the most important link in that list of links. Join our team and get scripts and lists. That link is really important, guys. Can you guys see this Miro board okay?
Yep.
Back to the beginning.
So I'm going to go over this briefly.
What's your new brand name now, Patrick?
Cash Ready Homes, but we're going to be creating a creative brand, which we actually already have the domain for, which is sunbelthomesolution.com.
What was the other one? Cash something Homes?
Cash Ready Homes.
Cash Ready Homes. Okay,
So,
what does that mean? They're homes that are ready to pour cash into?
That's the best that we and AI could come up with, Gary.
Okay, Cash Ready Homes.
Believe it or not, that's the most time-consuming thing, is actually coming up with a brand. So let's talk about what kind of deals there are, guys, in terms of creative deals. Now, there's really three main types, but in order for us to have this conversation, you have to first understand what equity is, right? That's how much money somebody's going to walk with in a transaction, for example. So if there's a home value of 300K, we have a 80% mortgage, 20% equity, they owe 240K, and they've got about $60,000 worth of equity. And this is a very simple example of what that looks like. Now, when we say equity at ask, what we're referring to is if it's on market and they're asking a specific price. Okay, so how do we calculate the equity at ask? So we're going to take their asking price. In this situation, it's 300K. And then we're going to subtract 10% of what I'm calling transaction costs. So this is agent fees, commissions, so on and so forth. Now, this 10% isn't necessarily standard. It's just a national average that we're using. And so I don't want you to get too caught up in like, oh, well, Texas has different closing costs than California, right? Like, don't worry too much about that. This is an overall educated guesstimation for you guys to run this through. Okay, so less 10%, so that would be 30K from that 300K. And from that, the gross proceeds, of that sale would be 270. Now, if we had an example loan of $240,000, we're subtracting that from the gross proceeds. The net equity at ask is $30,000 in this case. Does that all make sense, guys? How to calculate equity at ask, what equity is. And if you don't have questions, guys, please in the chat, either ask a question, or if you want to raise your hand, we'll pull you up on stage. The letter A has a question. How much time do you really need to process a pre-foreclosure?
Do you think we should give a question permission?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I don't know. Anybody who can't put their name.
Letter A, we'll get back to that since it's not exactly on topic.
Yeah. But please raise your hand, and then
raise your hand and
you got to turn on your video.
Does this make sense, guys? In the chat, yes, if this makes sense. No, if it doesn't. If it doesn't, I can say it a different way. You need to understand how to calculate equity at ask, guys. This is super important, guys. Okay, so now once you understand equity at ask, then we can start to look at what kinds of creative deals there are and how to identify ones that are truly good deals. So generally, let's talk about the types that there are. There are Subto. And usually with these Subto deals, what we're looking at is 20% equity or below. And the reason that is, guys, is that we don't want to be coming out of pocket. We don't want to have a huge amount coming out of pocket on these creative deals because we want what's called cash on cash return. That relates to how much money we're making annually net divided by what we're actually spending to get into the deal. Okay, so generally what you're going to see is 10% of all costs of the ARV. So in other words, if the actual retail value of this home was $300,000, what an investor might want to spend, that would be in terms of arrears, in terms of transaction costs, cash to seller, all those things added up, max would be around 30K. That's that 10% mark, okay? So that's why we want with sub-twos, usually about 20% equity or below. The types of loans we're taking are usually VA, conventional, FHA loans. And generally speaking, we want 5% or below. Now, some of you might have presented a deal or you might come across a deal that has a 5% interest rate and you might get excited and say, oh my God, I've got a great deal, right? It's a 5% loan. And then you come to find out that it doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental. And really that's another criteria point that most investors want. They want to see that it actually cash flows as a long-term rental. Now, if you click on the, let's see, the submit your deal link, which I'll bring up now. Let me actually exit out of this and bring this over here. I do explain the criteria that I am looking for and most investors are looking for. You can find this here. So if it's a cash deal, I'm not touching anything outside of creative. If it's a cash wholesale deal, and your cash wholesale deal should be anywhere from 60 to 70% retail value. Okay. If their asking price or your negotiating price is not anywhere from 60 to 70%, it's probably not a deal. I would stay away from rural areas unless you know for certain that it's a cash flow king when it comes to Airbnbs. Awning.com has that's a really good site if you want to see what the hottest markets are in your state. You can actually see what the best returns are for Airbnbs on current market data. And then ideally, if they're cash deals, it would be off market. Now for creative deals, which is specifically what we're talking about today, again, an entry fee of 10% or less. Again, that is all in. How much do I have to spend at the closing table to purchase a deal? That's what we're looking at, is about 10%. Now this with exceptions, there, there's always exceptions to that rule, and you have to know your buyer, guys. So again, interest rates below 5%. Minimal rehab preferred. So we're looking for properties that don't need a lot of renovation. If it's a fixer, a true fixer, then it should be a cash deal, guys. This balloon refers to seller finance, which we'll talk about in a moment. But when we say balloon, that basically just means to pay off a loan. So when a seller creates a loan with a buyer, it's called seller finance. The time in which you're going to pay off the entire loan is what we call a balloon. And we want the term to be at least 7 years. The deal must cash flow at least $300 after expenses as a long-term rental. This really depends, guys. I'm actually going to be buying a rental soon that only makes like $100. Or actually, I might even break even, but I'm okay with it because it's a retail-ready property in an area that I already own rentals. So for me, it's an attractive deal. Okay. Purchase price must not be over the ARV, and ideally 90% or less of the ARV. As a reminder, ARV stands for after repair value or retail value. Think HGTV, guys. Okay. Now, again, all these terms really depend, but let's say you're getting seller finance. Somebody owes a property. They own a property free and clear and it's retail ready, and they're going to give me a 30-year term. I'm actually okay with paying over what it's worth today. That's me personally. So again, it really depends on the investor. Flexibility in requirement for deals exceeding expectations in some categories. So essentially what this means is that like these are all levers, guys, all of these points. So there, you know, you think about pushing and pulling on these levers. Like if this thing is cash flowing $1,500 a month, then yeah, I might pay over ARV because what do I care? I'm making cash flow every month. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So going back to this, well,
So
where
if
do
it's
we
a good
find
deal in a high rent district, it might work.
right? So for sub twos, let me go back to presenting here. For sub twos, where do we find these? Well, there's a lot of places you can find them, but two of my favorite sources are 60 days days on market, 60 days on market plus for active listings. So if you look at like Zillow or Redfin, you can actually sort by how long they've been on market. And then you have expired listings, which are those listings that have either failed or they've gone to an expiration date, right? So they no longer have a listing with that agent.
Patrick, do you see a lot of Subto potentials in expired listings?
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
I would say
that's not been my experience when I.
well, what I would say is so what I've seen from the data, I guess a lot the phrase a lot is contextual, right? You and I might have different definitions. But from what I've seen, what Mike and I have seen from pulling data, we're looking at basically we're looking at vacant properties. So equity doesn't matter. We're just looking at vacant properties. We're looking at expired listings and we're looking on days on market, low equity, right? And so from what we found, there's about 10% of the total volume of properties that are creative opportunities. And that's how we're filtering.
So why not look at free and clear expired, because don't you think they'd be potentials for seller financing maybe?
100%. But for us, it's got to be vacant. So
Okay.
that's why we use vacant as an overall filter. So vacant, you know, expired listing, vacant, days on
What
market.
about owner occupied?
For free and clear,
you just want to make sure there's no tenants, right?
if it's free and clear and it's owner occupied, no, we're not looking at it. If they have multiple properties and linked properties, then it might be an opportunity, but only if that's the case. We see very, very low motivation for seller finance if it's owner occupied. Seller finance.
Anne's asking, are there $1 million? Sorry, just pointing out a question.
No,
Anne's
go
asking
ahead.
about $1 million price.
Yeah, so it really just
for
depends.
some two transactions, can we do $1 million? Yeah.
It really just depends. It's got a cash flow, guys. And I'll talk about the criteria that goes into cash flow, and we'll also show you our spreadsheet today, but it really depends. What I've seen, generally speaking, it's not always the case, but usually if like I'm in California, for example, right? And this might also hold true for a lot of states, but if it's like 800,000, if it's a single family home and it's $800,000 or below, it probably will cash flow if the loan is less than 5%, or if you can get a seller finance note for less than 5%. If it's above that because of tax reasons, generally it will not cash flow. But again, it all really depends. It's always, always, always a case-by-case basis. Okay.
Patrick, do you have a question? I noticed your hand was raised.
Oh no, I don't. I'm just always speaking with my hand. So let me lower that for you. Sometimes I do a thumbs up too. Okay, so seller finance. Seller finance is actually, in my opinion, the most complicated way that you can structure a deal, because there's so many ways that you can, right? There's so many different things that you can do with seller finance. This is where creative financing really gets creative. But in general, what's happening here is you're giving the seller a down payment. You're going to pay them payments over time, and then you're going to pay the rest of the note. You can think of it like a mortgage. You're going to pay that off at a future time, and that's called a balloon payment. Okay, so this really all just depends on what the seller wants and what you need as an investor. Generally, when I'm negotiating seller finance, what I will tell the seller is that, you know, I'll first identify what's important to them. like if they're talking about the price of the home a lot, then in my conversation, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, maybe the price is most important to them. And I'll ask them, I'll say, is your equity most important to you? Is the price that you sell this home most important to you? And if that's a yes, then that's the lever that I'm going to pull on. And I'll say, okay, well, I know you wanted 350. What if I gave you 370, but I want my payments to be $500 a month or whatever. That way I can actually cash flow the property. And, then we talk about down payment, and that's how the negotiation starts. Again, we're trying to get in at 10% with all costs associated to getting into the deal. So that's essentially what seller finance looks like. But there's a ton of ways to do this. I know a guy in our mentorship that I'm friends with. He's going after like $2.5 million properties, these luxury rentals, and he's giving them like $100,000 down. And then he's taking their equity in what's called a second silent position. So he's actually not paying any payments at all monthly. And then on year 5, he's giving them one lump sum. Generally, what he's doing is either refinancing or turning around and selling the home. Again, the source for these guys would be like free and clear properties. They don't have any, there's no note. They don't owe anything on the property. 60 days on market and expired listings. Again, you're going to find more motivation for sellers that it's either a vacant property, or they have another property in their portfolio that they can move into. Does that make sense, guys? Any questions? Nope. All right. I see Mike is busy in the chat. Thank you, Mike. Hybrid.
Yeah.
This is basically where we take those two ideas and we create two separate notes. Well, there's one note that we take on, we assume a loan, and then we create a note. We create like a mortgage, so to speak, with the equity that's in the home. And this is referred to as a hybrid. Okay. So again, equity now we're looking at if it's 20% equity or above. This is where they've got extra equity on top of what you're going to pay them for the down payment. And we want to, again, create a note for that. We're also, again, looking at Subto loans that are VA, conventional, FHA, 5% or below. And again, because this is a seller finance, it's a hybrid, it's seller finance / Subto. We're also looking for vacant properties or a property where they can move out of it into another property. We want higher levels of motivation. And then again, a source for this could be 60 days on market, expired listings. We do want to make sure that this is vacant. All right, guys. Okay. All right. So if you were to go about this the super advanced way, oops, I don't want to see time and wither. I don't need that. What you might want to do is take MLS data and put it in Google Sheets and then run it through PropStream. That's the most accurate way to do this. Okay. Why? Well, PropStream's MLS data is not great. So if you truly want to see expired listings and active listings that have been on the market for a specific amount of time, the MLS, nothing beats the MLS. Nothing will ever beat the MLS. Now you put that into Google Sheet and you clean it up, feed it into PropStream. What PropStream does, and that the MLS will not offer you, is mortgage and transaction history, which is telling us, again, what does it look like? Where are we at with equity? What kind of notes on it? Is it free and clear? So we can then filter through all that information and start to actually target what we're calling on, and not just looking at listings and going, "Ooh, that's a pretty property. Let me try to call that," right? We want to be prepared.
Let me correct you real quick, Patrick. MLS
being
does have transaction history. If it's
MLS.
sold outside the MLS, you won't find it there. But if for most homes, they're sold on MLS, so you can see the transaction history.
Mortgage history is what I'm referring to.
A mortgage history, no.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that the MLS, nothing beats the MLS when it comes to active and expired, and even comping for that matter. But what it doesn't provide, maybe someday they will, what it doesn't provide is mortgage and transaction history. So that's what I was referring to. Okay, so once we have all that plugged in, then we have a list. Once we have a list, and again, what I'm showing you guys is how to operate at a high level. You don't necessarily need a CRM. You can run off of a spreadsheet like the one that we provided you. You could even do it on a notepad, guys. It doesn't matter. What's the most important thing for you guys to know? It's not technology, it's action. It's actually having conversations with people on a daily basis. That's what's going to make you money. Okay, so we would enter this list into a CRM, and we would organize it in terms of a pipeline, and we would call on the 4 pillars, actually 5 pillars. In the chat, guys, what are the 5 pillars? Who's paying attention? Who's awake? COMPT. All right, so the C is condition. O is occupancy, right? I'm not seeing anybody type this in here. I'm a little concerned. There it is. Condition, occupancy, motivation, which is the most important pillar, timeline, and price. Guys, if you don't know that, write it down. Tattoo that in your head. If you're going to be an investor, every conversation that you have needs to revolve around those pillars. Okay? Every conversation needs to revolve around those pillars. We actually have an extra pillar in my team because we do a lot of direct agent. Our last pillar is representation. And that is there an agent involved? Are they going to represent us? What side are they on, the buyer or the seller side? Really important. Okay, now after you call, get the 4 pillars, you want to recap the conversation. Actually, for you guys, you're going to be submitting these leads to us. All we want to know is, are they motivated? Are they open to the idea, or do they want to hear more about creative terms? Okay. If you haven't already gone to my channel and listened to me talk to agents and sellers, go to my channel on YouTube. I talk to live agents and sellers, and I've had some very difficult conversations that most people would say they're not motivated, but I've actually turned them around in those conversations. So go check those out so that you guys are prepared for those conversations. Also, on the join our team and get the scripts link, there are scripts that'll kind of run you through exactly how to have these conversations. All right. Okay, then you submit, and then you follow up with me and or the agent and seller. All right, so I'm going to stop my share for a moment so that I can actually have a drink of water and answer any questions that you guys have so far. Any questions? Do we have a room filled with experts?
I have a hand. I just can't find it. They keep changing my Zoom. So where's my hand?
Put your hand up to your camera.
That I know, recognize that voice.
Well, it's irritating because I'm like, where the heck? Okay, well, anyway, I got a question.
Hi, Cindy.
So I had a really good deal, and what happened was I called on something. It didn't go. It didn't seem like they were motivated, but she had a condo that she had like 2.1% interest, $12,000 loan, and then that was that. The other one was a 6.9 at 200,000. So if you have 2 loans, that was my question. Pretty much like 7,000% or 7,000 equity. Would you look at it or absolutely not?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got one in escrow right now that has 2 notes.
Okay, but the note was 6.9. That was way over your 5%.
It depends. If they only borrowed $20,000 at 6.9, it might not kill the deal.
200,000, sorry.
Well, then that's probably going to kill the deal.
Yeah, because it was a 270,000 ARV, and it was 212,000 mortgage, and it's a dump. And it's in contingent. So this is why I was asking you, because she can't sell it. Now it only shows 17 days because it was off market. So that was my question. I'll just keep following it up, but will you say no? Like, I don't want to waste your time, right?
How much money do you think you need to put into the property to fix it?
I mean, you would probably say it's okay. You would probably say it's moving. I just kind of think it's kind of like,
earlier you said it was a dump.
Well, it is a dump to me, but I see things differently than you guys. Like the counters were new.
Tell me more.
The counters, yeah. The counters were new. The carpet's new. I mean, I think it was, there's a few dents in the wood. It's a beautiful wood flooring. It's dated. Do you want to look at it real quick or no? We can look at it later if you want.
Put the address in the chat.
Okay.
Or just tell it to me.
It's contingent. It's 600 South Dobson Road.
It's contingent?
It's contingent. So what happened was she said, well, I have buyers. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell would buy this place? There's no equity in it. It's
All right,
600
so just a quick lesson on MLS status for everybody. When it's active, it means it's open. There's no current offers on it, at least none that the agent has noted. The next would be active under contract, which means that there are contingencies.
Got it.
So some MLSs do this a little bit different. Some of them have little sub statuses like contingent, bring backup offer, like we're still accepting backup offers, things like that.
That's what it said.
The
Contingent-
next stop,
Sorry.
bring backup offers.
Yeah, it
All
said
right,
contingent and then it said accepting.
Accepting backups, yeah. So, and some MLSs have little sub statuses in there that you can set them at. Some of them are visible to the public, some of them are only visible to agents. The next major one is pending. Pending means that the contingencies have cleared and we're just waiting to close. So we could be waiting for the final loan docs, paperwork to come in, demands from creditors. There might be a judgment, lien, and so escrow has to clear all that before you close. And those, even in pending, they can fall out. They can still fall out for a number of reasons, but the seller generally does not have a way out unless one of the few seller contingencies out there is they need to sell their house, they need to buy another house before they can close on this one. But generally speaking, sellers do not have contingencies. Buyers have contingencies. The seller's best remedy, if they really want to cancel a deal, is stay on the buyer to meet all their timelines by serving notices to perform, and that can sometimes shake a buyer loose if they decide that, oh crap, we should have gotten 20,000 more. I have a deal like that right now where the seller's just behaving badly because they realize that maybe they could have got a little more money, and we just struck on the deal at the right moment. Anyway, just thought I'd interject that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually really important once you start dealing with agents to know all that, guys. Contingent, basically, they're waiting to clear contingencies. So there might be a loan involved, or they might be in an inspection window right now. And so once you see something go pending, then okay, they probably submitted EMD, and like 9.9 times out of 10, they're going to perform. There's a very small chance that it might fall out of escrow, but usually if it's pending, it's probably going to close. Okay, so thank you for that, Gary. Let's take a look.
How long do I have to wait before I just keep checking on it daily?
Well, that's a good question. The question that you want to ask is, you want to get information around the terms. Like, do they have an inspection window? When is that over? When do you expect them to submit EMD?
Okay.
And then if they say, well, what does that matter? What do you care? You say, well,
EMD should be in the first few days. And if it's not, and by the way, in most jurisdictions, EMD is counted in business days. All other contingencies are calendar days, generally speaking. Your mileage may vary in different states.
yeah.
So what did you consider the condition, by the way? Because I just saw like dents in the wood, right? So
this looks
no
ready
big
to
deal.
me.
That's what I thought. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. Okay.
So when I look at, as an investor, when I'm looking at a property, I ask myself, can I rent this out this month? What has to happen for me to get somebody into this as a rental? And for this one, maybe some paint, maybe nothing.
That looks like laminate flooring, and it's just cheap laminate flooring, and that's why it looks so bad. It damages easily. This is why I recommend people do not use laminate, use luxury vinyl plank, LVP. The vinyl plank, the good quality stuff, is like nearly indestructible. You can flood the house and it doesn't get damaged.
I used to sell flooring. Isn't that funny? For 2 seconds, I used to sell flooring, but I know what that stuff is. That looked like, okay. Anyway, so he's looking at it now.
Do you know how much is in the note?
Yeah, so there's 2 of them. So when I look at PropStream, I go to the mortgage details, and I see there it is. 12,000 at 2.1, and I thought it was 200,000 at 6.9. I could be wrong. I think I
Is
did it
it-
right.
Is there some problem with not zeroing in on that address? You don't have you need to know the number.
I think you need to know the number. He was on it actually, on the red, because I always go to red, when you guys have a list, I always go to Redfin first, even to see if it's still open. And then I go to PropStream.
Sometimes it's the pound sign in the number. Sometimes it's the it says a part APT, or
It's not going to give it to me.
these are pound sign. You got to put it in after road.
Would it show that she just put it on because it wasn't even on market? Oh, well,
There you
one
go.
day I'm going to get some good leads for you guys, just constantly.
There you go. Now you got it.
Did I read it right?
Yeah, you're right.
There's
205.
a second mortgage, and then there's a first that is not cheap there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so I did, that's why I didn't, well, two reasons. She's kind of irritated with me, but I keep texting her to see if it's open. So I'll go and see if it's contingent or not. But so anyway, yeah.
So
I thought it would
the
have
few
been a good one for
programs
you,
that
but-
I'll use. So if we're looking at cash flow, let's talk a little bit about underwriting.
Okay.
The few programs that I'll use is Rentometer and also Zillow, and I want like 2 to 3 points of cross reference for rental comps.
I've noticed that Trulia also has good rental data.
Yeah, so I'll use Zillow, Rentometer, and Trulia. Those are the 3 that I typically use.
3-bedroom, 1 bath. That's not even. It's 980. God, I'm becoming old and blind. All right.
3-1.
Let's just do area code. And this is what, a condo?
It looks the opposite. Well, what's the difference between a townhouse and a condo?
Townhouses are generally 2 stories.
Are they attached walls or no?
Yeah, they're usually attached at least for one, but sometimes they come in 3 packs, 4 packs, 6 packs.
So
Okay,
I'm
so
seeing-
condos,
And units are more desirable always,
Okay.
even on the single story units. And then in neighborhoods like I live in, well, out here in the Coachella Valley, single story is way more desirable because there are lots of old people here who don't want to do stairs,
well, I wouldn't want to do stairs, and I mean,
including me.
well, I never used to be like that, but I'm like, okay, I'm nearing 60 here, so I gotta be careful pretty soon. So you were looking at Trulia, what'd you see? You saw 17? Because that one is a 3-bedroom, 2 bath.
Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, we
Yes.
can see it, Taste Junior.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So 17 to 18, we'll call it 18.
Okay.
And so this is your monthly rent, right? And so I see this a lot. We'll talk about, when I see people dispoing deals, I always shake my head because they're not really giving you the true numbers that you need. The first thing that you want to take a look is rent, right? And you want to take CapEx, so it's capital expenditures. You want to take this number, you want to times it by 20%. So if we take 18, and this is for property management, this is for repairs, vacancy, so on and so forth. It's like your oh shit account, right? So we're subtracting 360. Ooh. And then we're also going to be taking a look at your purchase price, which would be cash to seller plus the note, what's owed. So let's say we were going to give this person, actually, what are they selling this for?
I was gonna ask you, shouldn't we be comping it
270.
to see if that's accurate?
We could, but I don't care right now because it's creative
Okay.
deal.
It doesn't matter because it doesn't impact what he's trying to show you.
So 240, so the gross proceeds is 243. They owe 211. So there's $30,000 in equity here. So I wouldn't call this a deal. just for that, based on that, there's 32K of equity.
Well, plus
Okay.
obviously someone's probably at least paid close to their asking.
So I wouldn't have wasted your time, Patrick. What should I have seen immediately? I should have gone to, tell me
Well,
this.
let's talk
so
about
I,
underwriting this real fast, right? So we got the
Okay.
rent. Now, let's say, for example, like this is an actual Subto opportunity, and like we're gonna give them $5,000. So their purchase price would be 216. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. So 216. So if we take that, we want to figure out the tax on that purchase price. So what I like to use is Smart Asset, and I'll find the county, or excuse me, the city. What city is this in? Mesa?
yeah, Arizona,
Mesa. Okay, so and I said what, 216? Is that what I said?
216, yeah.
Okay, so we've got an annual tax. Annual tax of 1382. I'm going to divide that by 12. Oops. So
Yeah, that average county
$115.
tax rate really may not be applicable depending on how the state reassesses property. Like
Well, let's-
California's got an average annual rate below 1%, but we know it's going to go a little over 1% because they're reassessed on sale.
So that was,
always, yeah, using that, you should understand how properties are reassessed in the states that you're working in. And sometimes it's right down to the county.
$209 for an HOA fee. That's murder for this price point.
Yeah.
all right, well, obviously I'm wasting your freaking time. I wish
Well, you know,
If you're not learning, then I'm
this is
wasting your
good.
time. If you are, then it's not.
It
No, I'm
offs-
learning, I'm
but
learning.
but Patrick, it offsets some of the normal war chest allowance, because you're not worried about roof replacement, you're not worried about structural, your insurance is less than a condominium because,
That's true.
right?
Those are good
And
points. Yeah.
so you can take at least 10% off the war chest.
Yeah. So he's saying that these apply, guys. These are interrelated. So
Okay.
we'll strike that. I like that's a good point, actually.
Well, all I'm saying is you can deduct 180 of your capex from that, so your HOA is only about $29 there, right? That's how I look at it.
You guys are speaking Greek to me. I just need to look at something quickly to know, am I wasting your time or not? But I'm just like,
Well, I like condos personally. I mean,
I was all excited about this.
they are more difficult to get them to cash flow in places, but they make really good flips.
Mm.
I never have to replace a roof when I flip a condo. Ever.
All right. So if we're gonna take all these numbers into consideration, the capex, the tax, the insurance, minus the rents, we are at 316. Oops. Let's do some math here. Minus 115 minus 54.
I don't
What am I
see
missing? Oh, I'm missing my
the mortgage. The
mortgage
mortgage.
payment. Yeah, that's
the
pretty
biggest
important.
number there, right? Yeah, so this is going to be very close to break even. A little, you'll make a couple bucks, right?
And then we have our principal and interest, guys. Oops.
Oh, and then you miss. Yeah, you got insurance. So.
All right, and then what is the PI?
There was something on Red. What was the site that you had that actually calculated it? Is that completely wrong when you went on Redfin and it gave you like PITI, give you all that, the HOA? Is that, we just never go by that, right? We go by your spreadsheet.
No, well, we got to get the numbers.
The website's
somewhere.
calculating.
Yeah. Okay.
want-
Well, it's minus, so that's a no.
Do I got to do the math here? 1,800 minus 360 minus.
So you're in the
Yeah,
red.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so I shouldn't follow up on it for you. No worries.
Unless
If
you,
this were 15 years into it, and it was a sub-2 and 15 years into the loan, it might still work.
yeah.
What does
yeah.
it mean when there's two variables? There was another one that had, the reason why it was on the equity thing, it had two variables and then it had two new ones. So I think they probably refinanced. Does it always show when it's a variable and it's refinanced to a conventional?
I don't
I
understand
don't
your
know
question.
what you mean by variable.
When you look at prop stream, like I always look at the mortgage details for you guys, right? To see that
Right.
what the percentage is. This last one I was looking at had
2 loans.
four. And that's why it had like minus 700,000 equity, but it was two variables. And then there was two new conventionals now.
Oh, two variable rate mortgage.
Yeah. And then it looks like they refinanced it because there was four of them, right?
Well, I'd have to look at what you're talking
Okay.
about. I'd have
I'll-
to see it.
Yeah, if you see variable rate, run.
No,
Okay.
you know what? Wait a second. I disagree with that right now because variable rate is going, when we hit 8.5 or 9, all of a sudden variable rate, especially new mortgages, variable rates are going to look awfully appetizing. And
You think a variable rate's going to cash flow?
well, in terms of people being able to buy a house, a home to live in, they're going to get lower interest rate if they've got a 5.1 or a 7.1. It could, by the time they hit the peak, then they could refi out. But I think, in fact, I was looking at the numbers. Variable rate mortgages are starting to tick up because they're starting to make sense for a change. So
With the market, yeah, that's fine. But look, guys, like what we're looking at here is does it cash flow as a rental, right? That's the base of what we're doing. And so generally speaking, if you're looking at these variable rates, it's not going to pencil. Now, if you're an in buyer, Gary might be right. You might want to take a look because interest rates are like 8% right now and people are getting crushed. But yeah, I would just take a look at the numbers. Generally speaking, guys, if you're running cash flow, it might not pencil. Okay, any questions about what we just went over? Thanks, Cindy.
Well,
thanks, Cindy. I know you'll come back at least one more time.
I'm gonna freaking
Edwell. Oh, you're back already?
What's that? Oh, sorry.
What's up?
No, Cindy's serial questioner.
How's it going, man? What do you got
In
for
the
us?
best sense possible.
Yes, sir. I just have a question. So, in your process of having joined your team, so let's say that I do talk to an agent, and let's say I'm able to get the 4 pillars. As the next step, to send it to you guys, and you'll take it from there. In other words, or should I be asking them also? Will you only take a cash consideration? Will your seller only take a cash consideration, or will he or she also consider creative financing?
So here's one thing I want to say, guys. Don't use the words creative financing. Please stop saying that. Like, and by the way, what's your name? Edwell.
Yes.
You're not the only one who does this. I don't think we're at a place yet where people fully get creative financing and it's been accepted as a term. So when you say creative financing, I don't think it puts you in the best position in that conversation. What you want to do is say you want to assume the loan, right? Because that's what it is. It's an assumption. It's a non-recourse assumption. So then if there's
non-qualified,
a non-qualified assumption. Thank you, Gary. So if that is a maybe or a yes, then great. Then we can kind of break that down. And I have a partner, me, that's you talking about me, who would be more than happy to jump on the phone with you and explain how this process works. We close on these types of transactions all the time. That's what you want to make it very like it may be unorthodox. However, it's common for us to do these, and we're more than happy to work with you on it. Now, if it's like a low equity, 20% or less, you don't even want to bring up cash, because if you gave me an option between cash and sub 2, I would say cash all day long. Why the hell would I let you assume my loan if you're offering me cash? Right? So don't even bring that up. I would, first of all, go to here, I'll link it again for you guys in the chat.
I'm doing it right now.
Read that script, guys, because that's literally how I address all the conversations. I tell them, The reason that we're calling is we're looking for properties exactly like this, where we can assume the loan, pay out equity in all costs. Is that something that you and your seller will be open to? Or if you're talking to a seller, is that something that you'd be open to? And then if it's a yes or a maybe, then you submit it to us as a motivated lead and we'll close it for you guys. Cool. Now, for those of you who are taking action, those of you who are recording your calls, those of you who are submitting deals, we're going to be sending out a link to our action only meetings on Thursday. Who in here in the chat say yes if you were in our last action taker meeting? Because there was like 12 of you guys. Lionel?
Edwell, did we answer your question?
Yes, yes, you did. Oh, also in case they say no, we're not. Well, okay.
It's going to be in the script, but how you would
Okay.
address that is you'd say, "Oh no, oh I see." So this is so let's just pretend we're talking to an agent.
Okay.
Oh, I see. This is a conversation that you've had with your seller before, and then they're going to be like, "Yeah," and then they're going to give you an objection.
Okay.
And then whatever that objection is, all you say to that is, "Oh, what if there was a way that we could overcome objection, insert objection," right? They don't want to do that because they're afraid you're going to default. Oh, I see. They don't want us to default. Well, what if there was a way that I could show you that we wouldn't? And then they're going to go, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we do these transactions all the time. I'd love to send over some company information. And my partner, the partner that I work with, he would actually love to get on the phone with you and explain more. Go to my channel. I've had both agents and sellers tell me to kick rocks. And by the end of the conversation, they're asking me for more information.
All right, will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you both. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Alexis, you don't have video?
Sorry, I don't. Is it okay, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I have actually several questions.
Oh, love it.
One of my, because I've been watching you guys for a while.
I'll
and
trade you a
questions have
question
been
for a
building up.
video.
Yeah. So I know that Patrick talks about 70% ARV. Then he mentions 83% and 10% entry fee. My question is, what is the diff? Like, I don't understand.
You're confused. You're confused.
Yeah, we're
So
mixing
let's-
metaphors here. Yeah.
You're a little bit confused, and I'm going to set you straight. Are you ready? Pay attention. Don't miss it, because I'll do it quick, and you might sneeze. Okay, so you're
Back to the
confused.
whiteboard here.
You got two things. You've got cash wholesale. Oops, I don't like red. Let me start over. Red doesn't make me feel good. Okay, so
Green for money.
I like black and blue. Okay, so cash wholesale. We're looking at 60 to 70% retail value. And we could, that's a shotgun approach. This is what I call a shotgun approach. So if I look at something and a seller wants like 80% and it's a fixer, they're out of their minds. Well, good luck. It's going to sit on the market forever. You're not motivated. Next. But if I can get it somewhere in that 60 to 70% range, I'm going to spend time on it. And then I'm going to actually go into underwriting. And the way that we underwrite that is ARV times 0.83. This is for a cash buyer, by the way. 83%, which is composed of 10% net profit and another 7% of holding, closing, agent fees, costs. Okay.
Okay.
Don't get too caught up in this, guys. I have people, commenting on my, well, isn't it a holding cost? And, isn't the agent fee? Just trust me. Okay. Just go with these numbers. This is for cash. So ARV times 83% minus reno minus your fee, an assignment fee, equals your maximal allowable offer, your MAO.
Exactly.
This is wholesale cash. This is not the same as the 10%. Now we have creative. Let's go with a different color. We'll go with blue. Creative is different. Now with cash deals, we're asking ourselves, how much money? How much money will I make in, 2 to 6 months, right? Hopefully not 6 months, but how much money will I make? In creative, we're asking when? When can I get my money back? That's cash on cash return. Okay. When can I get my money back? And what that applies to is, number one, cash flow. How much am I making? And number two, what is my entry fee? How much money do I have to spend to get into this deal?
Okay.
Those both relate to this. And we generally want this entry fee to be around 10% approximately. Does that help?
Yes.
So these are two different worlds.
So in the cash creative section, you get the 70% of ARV minus the 10% entry fee, and then
You're somehow lost again. Okay.
Yeah, ARV is a factoid in creative deals. Generally, we're trying to buy houses that don't need much money, so we're not looking at ARV as strongly, because that's something we really need to know when we're flipping or we're wholesaling to a flipper. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so
no, I got it now. I got it.
okay.
I
So-
see the connection.
Again, let's take two examples. Cash wholesale deal versus creative. If it's $1 million, that's the ARV for both of these properties. I want to be able to purchase this. My purchase price, if I'm doing a fix and flip or a wholesale deal,
Yeah,
it's going to be anywhere from 600 to 700K.
exactly.
Okay, now with a creative deal, I want to spend my entry fee. It's not purchase price, because your purchase price is actually going to look a lot larger, but how much you're spending to get into the deal, no more than 100K.
Yes.
See the
10%.
difference here?
Yes.
Okay. And this is a hold. I mean, you can assign this too, but it's the end buyer is typically going to hold this, to some degree. There's other exit strategies. And this is a flip.
Now, if the seller gives you the right terms on the creative deal, you might be able to pay them over asking 1.2 million.
Right.
Give me 50 years to pay it. Give me an amortization on 50 years with a balloon in 20, and maybe as long as I can cash flow, that's a deal.
Yeah.
So you're more focused on cash flow, not the flip profit.
Okay.
And again, don't get confused, guys, because entry fee and purchase price are two different things on a creative deal.
Right.
If you're assuming a
Entry fee
loan,
is what do I have to take out of my pocket?
correct. Because people think purchase price and they think that's how much money I'm coming up with. No, it's not, guys. If you're assuming a loan for, let's say, 800,000 on this deal, well, your purchase price is 800 plus cash to seller. That's your purchase price. Okay. So again, where you were getting confused was what we're talking about here. Two different worlds. Does that help?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it does. It's two different things. Okay.
100%. You're not the only one who gets
Okay.
confused about that too. I've had, that's a very common question, by the way.
Okay. And then also in your, I think it was Gary's deal or no deal spreadsheet. There's a little link on a Facebook, like click on this link. And I guess that link is to help you understand how to use that spreadsheet. Because I always see you using that only the top left-hand corner, but there's a whole bunch of other things. And so I wanted to watch that video. And when I click on that video, it says something like, it won't let me do it.
Yeah, because you got to spend $8,000 to watch that video.
Right. But you know what?
It's an expensive video.
Latest, go download it again. There's a link to a video in YouTube. But I don't cover every scenario like I covered it in the old one, but it is available. So you can download it again, go to the link and download it again, and then you'll be able to watch the video that's in there now.
Yeah, and Alexis, we cover that on Thursdays. We go into negotiating and underwriting. So submit a deal or record your conversations and submit that.
Yeah.
And we will let you into those meetings. Okay.
Okay. And my last question is actually two more, sorry. I think you said something about the script, foreclosure script you were going to write and put it in there. Were you able to do that? Or?
I have not, no.
I think you mentioned. Okay.
I was keeping my eye on the last challenge, and foreclosure didn't come out of his mouth. So I
Okay.
decided that
And my last question is other leaders, they provide like the data to call, and I don't know if you guys do that. I know for foreclosure you listed like the people, but without the phone numbers. Do you guys like provide phone numbers?
No,
like
it's
that,
easy
or-
to manually skip trace. Go to Fast People Search or True People Search or familytreenow.com. It's the same information that you're going to get from PropStream,
Oh,
and it takes 2
Oh,
seconds.
it's just a little more manual.
Yep.
Anyway,
thank
I
you.
think Kevin's up next.
Kevin, what's up, man?
Yeah, just a real quick question. What's going on? I was calling some realtors, estate agents today, and one of them had a house, and he said it was an assumable loan, and that it was being sold through a corporate relocation company. Is that even a workable deal at all?
Probably
I've never
not.
heard of it, and I was like, I don't know. I'm going to
Well,
ask just to see what
they have a
happens.
commitment. Is he active duty?
No,
Did
they
you
said
say
he was like
military?
no, corporate relocation
Oh,
company. That's
corporate.
all he
Well,
said.
what happens? The corporations engage these companies and pay to relocate their key people, and so chances are that company has a contract to sell it, and you're not going to be able to do much of a creative deal. But watch it. If it sits on market forever, maybe.
Well, okay, yeah, because in the description they're like, "Oh, we'll cover this, and $10,000 for this," and it was like, okay, well, why would the seller be offering so much? Cool. Yeah, that was my only question. Just kind of curious if anybody had experience with that.
Yeah, I don't. I've heard about this though. I've had somebody else bring me a deal like that. I don't really know how it all works. I'd need more information, but I mean, you could distribute funds through escrow to anybody you want, right? You just have to make sure that it's above board with escrow. There's that. And if it seems like an opportunity and there's an agent and a company in the way, you might just want to go straight to the seller and see what the story is.
Okay, cool.
Cool, man.
Thanks,
for hanging
Kevin. Wally, you going to turn your video on? I can't spotlight you without video.
Wally.
Well,
There we go. He's got
I
it.
think he's coming.
It's happening.
Yeah, 1 second.
There we go. Oh,
All right. Hey, how's everybody going?
good.
Great. Is this your first time, Wally?
Good.
No, I think it was my second time. I think I joined the last one the last day. So it was kind of awkward, but yeah, I was telling you that I was an agent as well. But I was looking at some deals on Privy, and I was just wondering, on the 60 days on market expired listings, you said that's the most accurate you guys seen so far?
I don't know what you mean by accurate. I just like those as targets in terms of what to go after. I mean, you could find creative deals in a lot of places, but those are a couple of my favorite ones to go after.
And you said vacant, correct?
If it's a hybrid or seller finance, in my experience, they're going to be a little bit more motivated if it's vacant because it's just sitting there. If it's owner occupied, let's say it's free and clear, it's their primary residence. What do they need that money for? They need to find another house, right? So most likely a little bit lower motivation at that point. Not to say that you can't close a seller finance with an owner occupied free and clear, but it's going to be a lot harder, in my opinion. So I want to focus on like the perfect storm, right? Like, situations where it's definitely going to work for the seller. I look at creative finance as like problem solving. So I'm looking for problems.
Okay, my last question was that 360 number. I didn't know how you came up with that on the when you were underwriting that deal for Cindy earlier.
Was that CapEx?
The capital expenditure, you take your rents and you times it by 20%.
20%?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. You said you're an agent. What state are you in?
California.
Oh, cool. What part?
Central Valley.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I live in Burlingame, California, NorCal. I'll be moving to Palmdale here soon, so I can
Nice.
bother Gary.
Yeah, you're such a bother when you're down here.
Mini pizza dates.
I like hanging with your girlfriend. She's cool.
Yeah. Cool, man.
All right, thanks,
for hanging out,
Wally. Who's next?
Oh my
Cindy's
God, I can't
back
believe it's
for
Cindy's back
round. What
again.
is this? Round 3, round 2? I
Round
listened
2.
to
I just
round
want to
2.
know. So when Patrick did that, I was looking at your underwriting sheet, right? And what is the
Yeah.
things that you want me to look at quickly? Like, I was excited about that deal, but obviously it wasn't cash flowing. So when I look at the underwriting sheet, what is it? What do I do quickly? Just go to the
left-hand side to just figure out cash flow. Then you can be down and dirty if you want to if you want to use the loans to populate the cost of money section, you can do that, or you can just type the numbers in there. Of course, you break the spreadsheet, but who cares? It's not like it's gone forever. It's not like a piece of glass. You can just
So the
make
sub-
another copy.
So it's the Subto loan, the type of existing loan. I put that in, it calculates it, and then I plug it into the sub 1 to principal, right? Or interest.
No, if you click the checkbox, it will push those numbers into all the blue fields are calculated.
Okay. Okay, well,
We really don't have,
I
I
know
don't
you
want
guys
to
don't have-
hijack the meeting with this. If we want to do a meeting with that sheet again, we can do it Wednesday. Unless
Okay.
Patrick has a different agenda. We want to do underwriting.
I want to spend time doing that with people who are taking action, because if they're not taking action, learning that sheet's not going to help them.
Got it.
I think that's just, I mean, like, honestly, guys, like, it is important to know, but really you can do this on a piece of paper, right? You just take the PITI, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance with a new tax assessment, subtract that from market rents. Does it cash flow?
What's special about that spreadsheet is the Subto loan, when it populates in the cost of money section, it will put the current value of values based on today's amortization. And sometimes when you look at a loan like that, if it's 10 years down the road, you can see, hey, I'm paying down principal at $1,000 or more a month. And just because it's only cash flowing 50, $100, you have to stop and think, am I just focused on that 50, $100, or am I looking at that 1,000 or 1,200 that's also happening in the background? In that case, it can make an enormous difference. Look, I took a 15-year loan on my house. I'm in year 11 or 12 now, and it's very little interest that I'm paying every month. So I look at my housing costs as just putting money in the piggy bank at this point. Make sense? Okay. Anybody else? Or we got any follow-up on that, Cindy? Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Now would be a good time to answer questions if you've got them.
Well, that's kind of what we've been doing for the last half hour, no? I think
What do you
we've
guys got?
exhausted the questions here.
Guys, the most important thing right now
All
you
right.
guys to be doing is
Kevin's
taking
back,
action.
and I'm Murad Paul. I don't know if I'm even close to that.
Amaret is my name.
Amaret.
Yeah, just had a question about expired listings on PropStream. Is the data accurate? Because
No.
sometimes when you filter it,
No.
yeah, okay.
No, an expired
like
listing, and expired listings even on the MLS are really tricky. It is the trickiest data in the MLS because a lot of them will get relisted, where the agents, if they're too many days on market, they're gaming it. So even when you pull them, then you have to go back and check to manually check, is this back on market? Is it another anomaly I've been noticing lately are data share sync issues, where listings stay open in one MLS, but they're not in the originating MLS. So yeah, using expired listing data is super, super tricky. And you got to, and the best you can do is get it from an agent and just pull it for like 1 week. 1 week at a time,
right.
the most recent week or 2 weeks, but don't go back too far because the quality of the data gets worse and worse the farther you go.
Okay, no, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Does that help? Okay, great.
Yeah, no, that does help. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, Kevin, come back to us. What you got?
Hey, just as far as recording phone calls, how long do you think we should do that? I find it easier to do with earpods. That way I can like make notes, look at the listing, and kind of like look at the script. But like holding the phone over the microphone adds a level of complexity that kind of makes it a little more difficult. So I was thinking, well, like, what do we need to record every phone call, or is it at a certain point where we can maybe?
How good do you want to get?
That's what I was gonna say. How much do you want to improve?
See, that's the I knew I was like, I'm gonna answer this question. I know what they're gonna say. But yeah, that's no, I get it. Yeah.
I have this like
that's
everywhere
good.
I go. If I travel, I have this with me because I'm always using my calculator and I'm always on the phone. So
Yeah,
I have,
won't your CRM record it for you too?
it
don't
does,
have to
but if
hold it
I'm
for-
like if I'm on a Zoom or whatever, and I want people to listen to my conversation, I just have a mic and I set that up. So
Flip it upside down.
I mean, I think you and I are similar. You seem like an overthinker. And
Oh,
you
100%.
just do it, dude. Just do it. Like I've had tons
Hey,
of sales
hey
reps. Like,
Patrick, I use an app called Call You, and it just automatically records every conversation. I don't know if we can upload it to you guys that way, but it seems a lot easier than having to hold it like he's talking about. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's fine, guys. I don't care how, as long as you guys are taking action. And these recordings, guys, like they're not for me. They're for you. Because I know that if you're going to be recording your conversations and listening to them, you guys are going to get better. And not only that, it reflects on your level of motivation. Right? You're actually doing something to build your business. In our business, we record all of our calls. Everything's recorded, and we do call audits. And I've what I was gonna say is I've done like thousands at this point sales conversations, and I still listen to my calls, guys. Like I'm still asking myself, how do I get better? So it's super, super important that you guys do it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, of course.
Thanks, Kevin, for great questions today. All right, 15 more minutes unless we want to finish early. Mr. Curley.
I could probably make a
untethered
call.
property just raised their hand. Let's bring Mr. Untethered up.
Thank you, Gary. I
Is
appreciate
it
that.
is your first name and the other is tethered?
Yeah, UP up.
Can we call you?
That's it.
Can we just
No,
call
Scotty,
you
Scotty works well.
Just work?
Quick question regarding Subto. We have a seller on the fence right now. He is a veteran. He has a VA loan. He also owns 10 other properties. He may need to move here shortly. And he wants to get rid of his property. He's keeping the other ones. Unfortunately, he needs somebody who can, his motivation right now is somebody to assume the VA loan. If whether or not he can keep it or take his name off of it. If we were to able to prove that we can keep his name on it so that it's not showing up on his DTI later on, how long does a servicing company need to take action or have a record of that transaction happening in order to get at least his name off the responsibility of the loan?
Is he planning on buying another place right away?
Yes, he
so
is.
Is he okay with tying up his entitlements?
Yes, that's the reason why he's selling this one, is so that he could release the funds, or I guess there's a limit to the number of loans.
Yeah, his entitlement, there's selling this, he has to sell it with someone taking a new loan or to another vet who has the entitlements, and that would be a qualified assumption. Any other approach is going to tie up his entitlements. So you can free up DTI, but you can't, his entitlements will be tied up until that loan gets refinanced or a qualified vet or active duty military assumes does a full qualified assumption, assuming that it's assumable. Not all VA loans are, most are, but not every once in a while I see non-assumable clauses in them. So, if he's not comfortable tying up his entitlements, maybe you could talk to him, well, can you be without him for 5 years? I'll give you a balloon in 5 years and refi you out at that point.
7 years.
7, 10, whatever you can. Obviously you want to, and then if you go, but I'll try to get him to agree to 5 and then say, look, if 5 was going to work for me, but can we make it renewable based on the house appraising at a certain value or interest rates being at a certain level, so that you have an option to renew it, but you're going to tie up his entitlements. So that's something to keep in mind.
Dude, what's your name?
And the best way, if they're going to buy right away, the best way to free up the DTI is to start with a lease purchase option. So you do a purchase agreement, a lease agreement, and an option agreement, which will allow him to clear most or all of the DTI, depending on the lender. And
why is he
then
selling?
as soon as
his motivation is he's moving out, he's in the service, and that is one of his
he's being redeployed
requirements, that he would like to do it or turn it over to another veteran as well.
Yeah, well, so he's limiting his saleability by doing that. But is the house located near a base, very close?
Yep.
A large base?
Very large, yeah.
So I mean,
Fort
if it's
Lewis
like a Camp
McCord.
Pendleton, it's where?
Fort Lewis McCord.
All right, well, then he should, how long has it been on the market?
It's not on the market.
Okay.
We're just, we do some cold calling, and we
Right,
take a
well,
look at different numbers and found it.
if that's what he says, the best solution for him is to put it on the market and sell it to another active duty or vet.
Yeah, he's got no equity. He's got
Well,
nothing in
yeah,
it.
well,
Maybe 20,000.
I did one recently with a vet. He's a chief, and his wife is our high-ranking active duty, and they were getting redeployed for 3 years to Okinawa. And the market had dropped since they bought their house with very little money down. So it was a good move for them to say, okay, I could be without these entitlements. Plus he's got entitlements up to wazoo. So he's in good shape. But if this guy is E3, E4, this depends on what his rank is, and so what are his actual entitlements. But it sounds like from what he said to you that the best solution is to go on market with it and see if he can't find another qualified vet or active duty military to take it off his hands.
Okay, that'll work. The second part of that question was the time frame for a servicing company, where we show a record of the service company processing payments in that. Is there a time frame in there, or does it really matter? Or we just have to show proof that
if you have a lease option, they should be able to clear it right away. They'll clear it based on the lease. So you don't need that history.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Right. So there's ways to structure the deals to clear DTI faster. Is that it?
That's it.
What's your name?
I really appreciate
What's your actual
My
name?
name's Scott.
Scott.
Yeah,
There
I'm
we
on
go.
the
That's
I'm
what I was
on the
glad we could
I'm
help
on the
you.
company profile. So it's like, oh shoot, okay, that's the way it goes.
Okay, well, you can click the little 3 dots and rename yourself.
Yeah, actually I did, but it didn't go over. But that's
Oh,
all
it didn't
right.
work.
We'll get it
All
straight.
right.
I appreciate
All
you
right.
too.
Nice,
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Nice to meet you
All right,
too.
take care.
All right,
All right,
guys. We're coming up on that 4:30 mark. Any other questions before?
I think
Yep. Lionel.
Oh, hey, Lionel, what's up?
Where are you, Lionel? Oh,
Hey, oh, wait a minute. You don't see me?
well, you didn't raise your
I can see.
hand. It's just hard with
Oh, yeah, because
Great.
I couldn't find the
There you
button
go.
here. It went away today for some reason. So I
What's up,
just
bro?
figured I just jumped in. Hey, the couple of deals that I sent you, both of those are VAs too, and I wanted you to really take a look at them. One of them, the guy is moving to Ohio, and he just need to get out. You know, they bought the house in 2020. So and he's looking for, he will do, if you could do like a rent back, because he needs to leave at least by January is what he's after.
Is
So
this in California?
yeah, this is in California. This is actually in Palmdale.
Palmdale. Oh, okay. It's going to
Yeah.
be Patrick's neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, so there's no reason to do a rent back unless there's some type of financial distress. And
Yeah.
that's actually the only reason you don't want to do it, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
So I'm more
Yeah.
than happy to sign an agreement with him and have close of escrow meet his convenience and
Yeah.
accommodate him in that aspect. But is he behind? Is there arrears?
No, they're not. He's moving to Ohio.
Okay.
He's
Yeah, I mean,
transferring out. They just transferring out.
I'm in no hurry. We could open escrow and just sit on
Yeah.
it for quite some
And
time.
this house is turnkey. This house is immaculate.
Is that the Palmdale one? Is that another one?
Yeah, the Palmdale one. Well, both of them are Palmdale. Both of them ones are in Palmdale, and both of them are basically turnkey, ready to go. Basically, you don't have to do anything.
I am taking over Palmdale in a big way.
Yeah, they love it. You close to that's my neck of the woods up there, so I know exactly where you are.
The one with the water filter situation, whatever the hell that is, that
Yeah.
actually loses money.
Yeah.
But I think I'll still buy it.
Yeah, she's this one here is kind of complicated. This is a divorce situation, and the husband already moved out. He's moved back to LA, and the wife is still there. They just want to just sell it. She wants to just basically just sell it, just get out of it. And the realtor said that she did have an offer on it, but the actual buyer didn't want to deal with it because of the water and the soil deal that they had on it. Both of these deals here, they have never heard about a Subto deal. They are very open to hear about it. That's why I kind of set it up and told them that you'll give them a call back. That way you can kind of walk them the rest of the way out.
Okay.
And
do they understand that they're going to be on the loan?
They understand that. I made it perfectly clear. I did it twice before I hung up, just to make sure.
Fantastic.
That they did that. And so both of them was set up, just ready to go. She said, she's waiting to hear from you, and that way you can explain to her, so that way she can explain it to her sellers. And
perfect.
They want to get out.
I'll give them a call actually after this meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool, man. Thank you, Lionel. I appreciate you doing work.
Okay, yeah, one more too. I got another one here, another VA one too. This one here is in Manistee, and this guy here, he's a vet. He's moving to Japan, and this house just came on the market, so I just jumped right on it. All three of these houses was like that. It just came on the market, so I just jumped right on them. And the agent told me that they just listed it. He wanted to rule me out, check with him, just to see, and I told him, he asked me about the VA deal or whatever. I told him we had systems in place that would handle that. So I just kind of left it like that, and I'll leave you to do whatever you do.
So they just went on market?
Yeah, he said he just went on market, but he's getting ready to go. His orders got him. He's moving to Japan, so he's just trying to get out the house.
Okay.
And he's
normally I wouldn't consider that a motivated lead. However, with the interest rates right now, it's kind of crazy right now. It's at a place where you can call, especially if they're in a hurry to sell. It's not going to happen anytime soon. You never really know. You can't say that somebody might just come up and buy it, but from what I'm seeing in the market, things are staying on the market.
Yeah, he has a 2.99, and after I ran my numbers, he only got like $7,000 worth of equity in it.
Okay, all right, and it's like retail ready.
Yeah, it's ready to go. It's beautiful.
Love it. Okay, cool, man. Awesome. Well, I'll call on both of those. Actually, I'm gonna take a small break and then I'll give them a call.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
I'll update you, brother. I appreciate you.
Okay, all right.
All right, we got one more question and then we'll move on. Abel, can you turn your camera on for us? please.
Yes, sir. Perfect timing. I had a part. So quick question. Just going back to your first example on the the 10% EMD, he had 30,000 equity, I believe. Where does that come in? The $30,000 equity, the 10% of the 300,000? The very first example you wrote, is that part of the EMD or?
No. So with we want to take your mind off the EMD because that's something else. So like,
okay,
it depends on the state in terms of EMD, but like the 10%, that's something separate. Here, I'll pull up my screen one more time for you. Let's actually see if I can find that example. Let me share my screen. That might be helpful. Okay. So you're referring to this here? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, let me turn my phone settings here. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so for this example, in terms of entry fee, what are you asking? Where did the net equity from ask come from? Is that what you're asking?
I'm sorry, I called it EMD. I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's 10% entry, 30,000, but then the equity that's there. I think you mentioned something about that's for the investor, or is that if you assign the Subto, or where does that money come in? How does that get paid to the seller, I guess?
Well, so in this situation, in this example here, if there's $30,000 net equity at ask, that's the total. Well, number one, remember we want to be all in at 10%. So $30,000 is actually what, as an investor, what we would want to pay to get into this deal. So just because that seller has $30,000 in equity doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to give them $30,000 of equity. I might give them $30,000 minus agent fees and arrears and closing costs. Or maybe it's a really nice property and it's, something that I like. I might actually give them 30K and go over my 10% mark. But generally speaking, I'm trying to go in on all these deals around 10% of the after repair value.
Got it. Yeah, because that alone's 10%, right? The equity.
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Sometimes
so
that's the way. That's the way I'll phrase it too. Like if there's an agent involved, sometimes that's the way I'll phrase it. I'll tell them, I'll give you $30,000. And obviously agent fees have to come out of that. So it's up to them to either negotiate with their seller, or you can tell them what kind of commission you're willing to give them. It all really just depends on the situation, the agent, the rapport, all of that.
And on the cash deals, the wholesaling, I think you said between 60 and 70%. Does that apply to California too? Do you guys buy those? I do real estate. I just got my real estate license. I had it for a while, but I'm just going to sign up with the broker and start going out and making calls and, meeting people. So if I find something like that, do you guys buy those in California?
Yes, in California, Northern California and Southern California.
Northern and Southern California. Okay.
Yeah, the biggest counties. I mean, well, I won't really go into it, but I would just say NorCal and SoCal.
NorCal and SoCal.
Where are you
the
located?
Other example, I'm in Orange County actually. Orange County, but I'll
Orange
be
County's hot. It's a
River.
hot market.
It's a super hot. So I'm doing Uber right now. I quit my tax job. I'm driving around. I see fix and flip after fix and flip. Westminster, Garden Grove, Newport. They're doing all the, tearing down the old homes and building those new modern looking houses. So, but I'll be targeting Riverside too, the whole Riverside County. And so, yeah, if I come across something like that,
100%.
Let's do some deals, Table.
We're gonna do some deals for you. Are you a broker, Gary? I guess this is a question for Gary.
I'm a licensed agent, but I plan on being a broker by April, May of next year.
Okay. I've narrowed it down to a couple brokers and I haven't signed up yet. This week I'll be doing that. I was able to put some money
together. Are you a new licensee or an experienced licensee?
You know what? New. I've had my license for a couple of years, but just before COVID, that came around, went back to my tax job. So I finally came back, put some money together so I can stop doing Uber. So, I'll be making some calls and,
So you're a new licensee? You're a new licensee?
Yeah,
or
pretty much. No experience. Yeah. I showed some homes.
No deals.
That's about it.
No deals.
No transactions yet. No.
Transactions. All right. Well,
my fear.
I mean, depending on what you're looking for, I highly recommend Fathom.
Fathom Realty. Okay.
Yeah, we're a publicly traded company in 40 states, and it's mostly runs virtually, and it's the best deal on the planet.
Oh, nice.
Bad boys of real estate.
That's right.
But you know, you really need to be fairly self-propelled unless you join a team.
That's the reason I narrowed down my two brokers to. So one guy's in Riverside with EXP Realty, but this guy, we're friends on Facebook, constantly like just listed, just sold, just listed, just constantly Riverside. He's been around for a while, like 25 years, but he's more he's not going so much. He's with EXP, but not doing so much virtual. He's more old school, I guess, and. So let's go on listing appointments.
I don't do retail real estate. I do very little retail real estate. I focus on investors. So most of the teams out there are focused on retail, the standard retail methods. I do deals all over the state. Typical retail real estate is local, and that's I do some local deals, but I've done more deals in Sacramento than I've done in my hometown.
Wow.
So
Gotcha.
all right.
So I want to do what you're doing. So yeah. So that's all I got. That's it. Thank you for your.
Yeah, feel free to give me a call. You got my number here, so.
Yeah, I screenshot it. I got your number.
Yeah,
I'll be bugging you.
Text me first because I'm always busy.
Of course.
All right,
Okay, good. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Abel.
Have a good one, guys.
All right,
Thanks, Abel.
guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to be on another link on Wednesday. We sent that out to you guys. We will see you at the same time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, 6 Eastern. And yeah, we're excited to hang out with you guys at that time.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a great couple days here. We'll see you Wednesday.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.